Can I be totally honest with you guys? Something that changed my life, and this is for the men out there, something that changed my life was abstaining away from adult content, was avoiding self-pleasure, was focusing on harnessing that energy into becoming a better person. Now, I made a video on this maybe 4 years ago, and I deleted it because I actually got a few people that I was around at the time just kept hating on me for it, and it got to me. I felt quite embarrassed, so I took it down. But I thought, it's definitely been one of the pillars of me creating the person I am today, and I want to share that with you guys out there. And the reason I exclude women from this video is because it is something only a guy can do in terms of abstaining from releasing. However, if you are a woman, you can also abstain away from adult content. And I do think that is a good thing to do because, it can absolutely fry your dopamine system. And if you want to build intimate relationships, it's definitely something that can cause a lot of implications there. And I'll go back to speaking to the guys now. I was very much addicted to adult content. I remember one time, I think I spent 6 hours. 6 hours. This was actually near lockdown. So I was, 18? And I understand some people would say, well, every young man goes through this phase, but that doesn't mean it's a healthy thing to go through. And it's not something that I recommend for people to go through. And I'm just sharing my experience because I genuinely found that was the addiction that was not spoken about at the time, was very much normalized, and really messed up my life in many ways because I couldn't speak to people normally again because I was so anxious, worried, oh my God, are they going to know that I have this habit, this addiction? And it made it harder to maintain and create intimate relationships with women because I had major performance anxiety, and I also had some ED from adult content, and that massively affected my self-esteem because I was like, I'm 18 years old, how can I not get it up with a real life person? That shouldn't be the case in my 18-year-old brain. And I think it's an addiction that is more spoke about now in 2026. And I've actually been able to have amazing conversations with multiple men that have struggled with this or are struggling with this, that have been through this and can resonate with me. And they agree that it's an underrepresented addiction and habit, and it's overly normalized in today's day and age. And I do think adult content is there to weaken us, to take away our masculine energy, our drive as a man. And I feel like it should be banned. I do. I think the only positive of it is understanding what you enjoy, what you like, and to kind of understand the human body in a way. But that's the only positive I can actually take away from that, from my experience. But I think generally it's something that could be very harmful to people's mental health and physical health as well. Or rather, not necessarily physical health, but especially mental health. And, there's research out there with how adult content can absolutely affect your brain. And I believe it's certain parts of the brain region, it literally lights up the same as like class A drugs would. And it could really affect self-esteem, a lot of psychological impacts it can have on you. And I feel like it's a coping mechanism for a lot of people, and it numbs out your emotions and it weakens you. I feel like since I have avoided this, and I do believe that is the devil for me. I believe we all have a devil that can take us down and can bring us down, whether that is alcohol for some people, whether that's drugs, whether that's adult content. I believe we all have a crux that can genuinely break us, and that is something that genuinely weakens us. And I believe for me personally, adult content and self-pleasure is my devil, because I know how much it impacted my life and how it took me away from my identity and who I am and who I pride myself as a man. And that's why I'm sharing this video, because if you've watched this long, so what, we're 5 minutes in, if you're still here, there's a reason for that. And I want you to know, if you're going through this addiction, you are not alone. It's way more common than you think. But I want you to know that it's not a healthy habit to have. And I don't care if somebody disagrees with that. I do not believe it's a healthy habit to have. There's research indicating that it's not good for the brain, for your emotional connection with people, with anxiety levels. So I do think it should absolutely be something that you are cautious of. And the benefits I've found from abstaining from that lifestyle, from adult content, from self-pleasure, from releasing my energy, whatever you want to call it, I'll go into that. But what I'm trying to say is, I do believe in releasing, but I believe in releasing with somebody that you are connected with, not just 2 pixels on the screen. And just because you're stressed, bro, like I've heard that so many times. Like, I'm sorry, mate, like I just think that's a load of shit. Like, oh, I'm stressed, bro, so I'm just gonna go have a little, a little sesh. I'm like, mate, boy, I don't know, like yeah, of course it's a stress reliever, but I just feel like, look, I'm not against it. I'm not. I know it may sound like I am, but I just think that they're habits that, especially as a guy, that take away our masculine edge, our masculine drive, and our natural energy. Like, the way I see it, if that can create a baby, what is that going to do to us as a person if that is inside us? What is that going to give us? What kind of life? That's our life force energy. It literally is. It creates a life. So if you've got that inside you, what kind of power are you going to have? For me now, if you've looked into the kind of retention lifestyle, etc., like, it's very hyped up and there's not a lot of science behind it. I don't think there's much at all, actually. But if I go from personal experiences, I feel clear-headed, I feel clarity, I feel confident, I feel like I'm naturally just more me. I can talk to anybody. I've naturally always kind of had that skill anyway, or developed that skill over time. But I do find it's life on steroids. Like, everything just feels a little bit more beautiful. Now, it's not the secret to life. I do not believe it's the secret to life. But I do believe something you gain from doing retention or abstaining from adult content, etc., is you develop one crucial skill for success in any aspect of your life, and that is discipline. There's a quote out there, I don't know who it's by, but it says, a man that can conquer his own urges, physical urges, can conquer the world. And I 150 billion% believe that, because if you can control your urges and your natural drive, then what can't you control? What power can't you have? So I do believe that it's definitely a controversial topic, but it's only controversial because it's normalized and because people don't want to be honest and actually talk about addictions that aren't healthy, aren't good for you, and they don't want to talk about things that should be fucking banned. And, if you're sat behind the screen and you're still watching this, I appreciate you, and you can always reach out to me. My Instagram is in the bio. But yeah, I just wanted to be real here, because I thought that this takes me back to my root, and this is kind of why I started this whole journey, and this is why I became who I am. So I just wanted to share that with you guys.